Welcome back to the Bent on Better podcast. That's right, the Bent on Better podcast, where it all began. And we're here, Nick and I are here to just bring it all back. And we want to bring it full circle now that we've been in the industry for over a decade now as Bent on Better. And that's not true. A decade? No, I've been doing this for over a decade, but Bent on Better has been in existence since a little over 6 years. Yeah, a little over 6 years. Yeah, almost 7 years. Yeah.
So close to a decade.
Yeah, it's close to a decade. It's close. But we're back, and we want to talk to you. We have a lot of topics we're going to be discussing, but bringing it back today, let's just go over. Can you bring out your phone again, actually? Bring out your phone.
I mean, I got it up here in Mr. April's noggin.
We have a slew of topics we're going to be discussing in these coming episodes, but for today, we have a specific one in mind. It's going to be about strength training and some of the benefits that you'll be able to receive with strength training, but also the reason for why we want to prioritize strength training over so many different other fitness modalities that are out there. But what are some of the other topics that we'll be going over maybe in these next couple of episodes people look forward to?
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about simplifying your strength training for longevity. So thinking about over the lifespan. And then in the future, we're going to have some topics out there, talking about how Bent on Better has become this community, but this strong community, in that it wasn't just about building strength. It was about strength, mentality, and camaraderie. And I know that a lot of people here, they get to experience that. It's cool when they get to stick around for a little while. They experience all those things. We're going to talk about free weights over machines. Like, why the heck do we use dumbbells and kettlebells and barbells over top of all of these push machines and pull machines that you see over at Joe Schmo Gym down the corner. sorry. Not Joe Schmo Gym, but
Joe Schmo Gym. Sorry, that's fine.
And we've got a lot of other topics. We've got some we'll call them fan requested topics, member requested topics that we've gathered and accumulated over the years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then more to come. So if you're watching this now and you're getting back into it and you're excited for it, just as excited we are, make sure you comment below in this video if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure you comment below if you're watching this on Facebook or any other, whatever we're going to call it now, the meta, whatever we're going to call it now, whatever it is, whatever you're watching this, just comment for us. Let us know what you're excited for this. Let us know what you want us to discuss, because we've been doing this for years. This is our profession. This is our life. This is what we have built everything around. So for us, it's important to not only know this information, but to share it, because what's the point of having it if we can't share it with the world and make everyone else better? So that's really what we're here for. And so going forward now for today, let's dive into that topic. So let's read it back, Nick. Read it back.
Yeah,
what is it?
So we're talking about today. We're talking about.
Oh, wait. Let's wait for people who don't know us and for people who have no idea who we are. Nick, would you mind introducing yourself to everyone? And you know what? Let me do it. I'll introduce you.
Man.
You introduce me. All right. So here we have Nick April. Nick is the youngest of the three Aprils, and Nick has been the what?
The finest looking.
Finest looking. Yeah, right. Good try. I'm not even gonna try to back that up. You actually, you know what? Comment below. Let us know. Like, get some engagement
the
going.
Rivalry. Didn't
talk
this
to
happen
us.
in our
Yes,
podcast
talk
together?
to us. We didn't release that yet, but
talk
it up. Let us know like what you're thinking about this. Anyway. So Nick started his journey as an athlete in high school. At high school athletics developed this passion for him to take it into college, and he studied athletic training at Westchester University. Then from Westchester University, took that and that passion for athletics and for fitness and for understanding human kinesiology and movement and everything. Took that and moved it into your master's program over at Temple University, where you now have your not only your degree but also your master's degree in athletic training, and you are currently. And I know we've had some discussion around this, but currently still holding a certificate of authenticity that shows that you are a registered athletic trainer.
We can call that a license.
A license,
We'll
thank
just
you.
go ahead. Yeah, we'll
certificate
call that
of authenticity sounds even more official, but
certified,
yeah.
licensed. Yeah, so I am a certified and licensed athletic trainer.
Yeah.
Although
Wait, let me finish.
That's not what I do.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
But that's not what he does.
That's not what I do.
But he uses that knowledge here at Bent on Better, because it's important for us to be able to apply what we have as fitness professionals into real life circumstances. So Nick applies that real life knowledge in using his background, his scientific mind background, and his athletic training background into what we do here, which is what we call our prehab approach to fitness here at Bent on Better. Bent on Better's program is the prehab approach to fitness. And if you're thinking right now, you're thinking like, what is prehab approach? What does that even mean? That's not even a real word if you look it up. I don't think that's even a real word. But we're going to make it a real word, because prehab is the same thing. So think about it like this. If you've ever heard of a physical therapist or physical therapy, when you get an injury, you then go to the doctor. The doctor tells you to go to physical therapy to recover from that injury. You go to physical therapy. Most of you do. Hopefully all of you do. You go to physical therapy, and then they do some assessments, and then they do the rehab or rehabilitation from that injury to make you so you're better. So whether you're coming out of surgery, whatever it is, and there are specific terminologies that Nick can throw in there if he wants to throw them in there. But we are the prehab approach to fitness. We're looking at what may be causing these pains or what may lead to issues if you don't address it now. And we want to make sure we're setting a better foundation. So we are the foundation of fitness centered around prehab focus in your fitness. And that is what we do here at BentOnBetter. And that is what Nick does here at BentOnBetter as part of our head of adult training here at BentOnBetter. So there you go. How to do.
Thanks, man. That was great.
That was good, right?
We can throw in another one. We can throw
throw another one.
Now officially Strong First certified.
Oh, now officially Strong First certified. Oh,
Yeah,
that was going to be loud. That was going to smack in somebody's ear. We high-fived. If that just blew out your eardrum, sorry. So we're here now to bring more knowledge. And then for everyone who doesn't know me, I'm the guy who started BentOnBetter, and I personal training background, and that's about it. For
That's
me.
all you want to give yourself?
And that's kind of where we are. What would you say? What would you say to someone who didn't know me if you were to introduce me to someone?
I mean, you could frame it as you were the older brother, the one doing all the athletics, the ones, paving the path and setting up the way and getting into personal training before BentOnBetter was even a thing. Just doing the personal training, coaching people and then from there, starting your own podcast. You were doing podcasting before you were even truly BentOnBetter, man.
Yeah.
Talking about ways to improve people's lives and how to get your mindset right and how to get your dieting right and how to get your fitness right, everything right. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute. We should just apply that now. We should just do those things in person.
That's right.
Opened up BentOnBetter. Well, started BentOnBetter as a personal training, what do you call that? Organization, enterprise, whatever.
Yeah.
6 years ago. Where did you ever?
Almost 7 years ago. Yeah, 2014. So
2014, and
I don't want to date the podcast right now that we're doing now, but yeah, 2014 is when the name was official.
And then we hit our 4-year anniversary a couple months ago here as a facility. So
Yeah.
I mean, this place has been up and running. Thank you being able to keep the lights on here for 4 years.
I know. Shoot. Thank
impressive.
goodness. Thank goodness. So that was pretty good.
You're the leader here, man. We all look up to you.
Well, thanks,
We
man.
work as a team, but we look up to you, dude. You tell us everything we
So-
know.
I'm touched. It's so good. Well, thank you for that warm introduction. So there you go. That's the April Brothers in a nutshell for you here at BentOnBetter. But let's get into it for today. So because I'm sure you're here and you're like, I know you guys. If you're watching or listening, I know you guys. We know the story. Maybe you didn't. So there you go. Fun little fact. But maybe you did, and you're ready to get that knowledge. You're ready to get that information. So Nick, let's bring it back to that statement now. Let's bring it back around to the purpose of this podcast and why we're bringing it back and what we're going to start off with today.
Yeah. So again, to refresh your memories here, we're talking about simplifying strength training for longevity. So again, across the lifespan. And this is a topic we talk about frequently as coaches. We meet once a week to really meet once a week. We talk all the time, but we meet once a week to really discuss, really down and dirty, some of these things that we can do to help improve our community and to help everybody else kind of to get it. We do that. I'm doing finger quotes right now for those of you who are not watching this, to get it, right? And it's not just about showing up and doing the work and trying to accomplish one single goal. It's oftentimes trying to learn how to apply these concepts over and over across, months, years, whatever, so that you have these we would call them functional exercises in your repertoire to be able to do these things daily and have more resilience in your everyday life so that you're less likely to get hurt, less likely to experience discomfort and pain and aches and all that stuff. So simplifying strength training so that you can do it regularly. So, I mean, that was sort of like a start.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
So what I was hoping we might dig into,
Let's
right?
keep digging.
And maybe we can start even with examples from our own training, but maybe we save that for just a second. I mean, take a step back. How do you get something how do you build a habit, right? If we start there, how do you build a long lasting habit?
That's good.
And I think, I might take this one, but I think you're pretty good at describing building these. I've heard it framed as 3-week habits in a way to try and build a long-lasting habit.
Yeah, well, if you're ready to go for it, and then I'll jump in when I can.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of that's the starting for building a habit, you try and develop something that you can do, not cold turkey necessarily, but you try to develop something that you want to accomplish in a way that doesn't build resentment, doesn't build like festering emotions that, over time you go, wow, I really hate that thing that I've been doing for so long. There's a few people coming to mind who I think like when they started, they had that kind of mindset, and then they've lost it, over the time they figured it out. But how can you develop those things and then turn that into, so for strength training, it's very specific, I know, but in your everyday life, there are other concepts you could apply this to. But what advice would you give, or what kind of things do you think you would lay out for somebody who is trying to build these habits? And keeping in mind the topic here with strength training, how do you build that out so you can do this not just for a year or, 5, 6, whatever, 1,000 years like Beverly has been doing here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those of you who are listening who know Beverly, they're like, oh yeah, she's been here for
years. So that's a great point. So for everybody, we'll take it back to like a story. So when you are in a moment in your life and you have that aha moment or that realization or that thought that says, I need to change something, that's your first sign that you're on the right track. So for me in high school, I've always been small. I'm 5'5", but like I feel like I'm 6'5", but I'm 5'5", and I've always been around that like 145, 150 mark. And that was in high school the whole entire time. And then so I graduated high school and I realized that like I don't want to be small anymore. I don't want to be that little guy anymore, because everyone always called me like bud or little guy or like hey man, or hey dude, hey bud. Don't call me bud. Like I'm not like I'm your buddy, I'm your friend, but like don't talk to me like I'm a kid. I'm a full grown adult with kids and everything, So for me, it like I feel like I'm 6'5", but yeah, I look like I'm 5'5". But so in this journey of Matt's insecurities and development, I realized that I wanted to change that. So when I had that instinctive moment to want to change that, I looked at my opportunities and said I could like try to buy shoes that can make me taller. I could like a short-term fix, right? I could try to do a bunch of like stretching to make my muscles longer. And like I'm making this stuff up, but like I could try to like hope that my joints would grow so that my bones could grow and I could grow and like hope for the best, right? Hope for the best, but that's not true action. And what came was I realized that the gym and fitness was going to be my actionable step to changing who I want to be and how I want to be perceived. So I started going to the gym regularly. When I got into college, it was 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, every single day. I would go for like an hour to an hour and a half. But the precursor to that was like, okay, if I'm just going to go to the gym, I also need to research this and figure it out. So I'd start like taking like protein supplements and taking creatine supplements and taking all these different things to try to like add mass. Because I was like, okay, I'm tired of being small. What's the opposite of small? Like big. So I want to be big. And I went from being 150, I got all the way up to 182. And at that time, 182 was like, I was husky. I was getting the meat sweats without even actually eating meat. I was just there. So as a point in my life again where I had the purpose of like sharing that story is you have this realization to want to change something. And so instead of identifying as small guy, small stature, small person, I want to be big guy, big muscles, like complete opposite. So I had to start identifying that way. And so in order to identify as myself, instead of to change my behaviors, I had to identify that way. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get big. I'm big. I'm going to get big. I'm going to get big. I'm going to be big. I'm going to be big. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be husky. I'm going to add it all on. I'm going to make myself that person that I want to be. And so I started doing these behavioral changes, and these behavioral changes then led to these habitual changes, and these habits were then part of my normal structured day. And then that normal routine continued to compound, and it turned into what it was, which is I was this fitness person. And then people in the gym, like years later, I would still be at the gym regularly, writing down all my workouts, taking my supplements before and after. And then I realized later that that wasn't necessarily a thing that I needed to have, but I would do it because that's what I thought. But I would do all these different things and learning about nutrition and all this different stuff. And people started asking me questions. And then those questions would then evolve into like, oh, I can actually make this into like a service. And that's when I got a certificate. And then everything kind of compounded from there. So take it back to the big takeaway from this really long Matt story is identity versus behavior versus habitual things. Those are all the different components of what will make or break your fitness journey. And so if you take it all back to what we're starting off with was a strength training foundation, yes, fitness, you can get started in any way with fitness, but if you're looking to change your life in a different way that you've ever done before, look at it from a strength component and then look at it from everything else. What can strength training do for you? What can habitually having strength being a part of your normal day rotation, what can that do for you? Think about it. What can that do for you? And I'm talking to you if you're watching, but I'm also going to bring it back to Nick. So I'm talking to Nick because he's sitting here like, why aren't you talking to me? I'm just talking this whole time. So let's rope it back. So number one is like identifying that moment of change in your mind and seeing like, okay, that was the moment where I realized like I want to have something different, whether it's to lose weight, lose body fat, to get bigger in my case, to be healthier, to move better, to get out of pain for a lot of people.
It's a big one.
Get out of pain. Like I'm having knee pain on a regular basis. I'm having back pain, lower back pain, upper back pain, neck pain, any shoulder pain, whatever it is, having pain on a regular basis is not normal. And too many people think
they accept it.
They just accept it. They think it's part of life.
They think they're damaged and they can't be repaired.
And then you rely on what was me to change that factor, or you rely on medicine or medications or over the counter or prescription. And I'm not saying that you can't be sad and that you are unable to, feel those emotions that you're feeling around those pains, because that's real. You're dealing with it. But I am here to say, and we're here to say, that if you're dealing with pain, you don't have to deal with it. You can get out of it. And that's what we're here and trying to teach you here, not only with this podcast, but with our entire BentOnBetter movement. So yeah, I'm gonna stop talking.
Yeah, that's fine. I think you did great because you talked about your background, and as a way that like when you built up your background, it was very experience based. You learned by doing. You learned by also surrounding yourself with other folks who were doing. And I think in that regard, without even having like an official community, I'm sure you could identify with a few like folks that you ran into at the gym and like just regulars or friends, whatever. Sometimes you would go with a friend. Sometimes you'd go with a brother. Somebody, right? And it's cool because you learned, you were patient with yourself, right? You learned over a long period of time. And it was like in the first year, I'm sure it probably wasn't perfect. And the whole like, becoming fluffy or husky. What did you call yourself? Husky, right? Yeah. Becoming husky. Obviously that wasn't a super sustainable thing. I don't think, at least, right? It didn't seem very sustainable because if it had been, I think you probably might have still been that way. Right.
And so for everyone who's watching now, if I can interrupt, I'm back to like 148 now. My routine and my lifting and my habits have changed quite a bit because I've been doing these half marathons and training for all that. So that a lot goes into that. And we'll do this in another podcast, so like a little teaser. We're going to talk about the difference between strength training and doing cardio. And I'll use myself as the example. And you need to see the differences in myself physically, but also mentally, physically on the outside, physically on the inside. I'll have to talk about all these things in a future episode.
Are we going to be doing some kind of endoscopy or something like that?
Oh no, not like that deep, but like talking about like my joint health and talking about all those different components that go into cardio versus strength training. And we'll get into that a little bit later. I think that's a good one. I'm going to write that down. You keep talking.
Go ahead.
Keep talking. I'm going to write that down.
It's cool. You hit on a really cool point of identity too. You were talking about like identifying not just what you wanted to accomplish, but like tying that to yourself. Like, wow, I really want to be this person or this thing or this thing, whatever you admire or whatever you were kind of looking up to or whatever you were repulsed by something and you wanted to get away from that other identity. And I can relate to that. And I think I've probably already talked to that. Maybe we can do a little hashtag or something here, link it back to Nick's podcast when you interviewed
Oh yeah,
me.
that's a good idea.
That'd be cool, right? Or even do a little like, in the videos, where it does the little frame in a frame. Jaquan, maybe you can like nice little frame in a frame thing.
Give a little
Everybody who's listening, you're like, who's Jaquan? Wait a second. You know who Jaquan is. Come on.
Jaquan's a super talented
put a little frame in a frame here or
who's
something.
been a part
right
of this
here
team.
Too. Like right in my hands. Watch how impressive this dude is, by the way, guys. Like look at his talent.
Wait, hold your hand, hold it still. Maybe he'll be able to do it.
Right here. And I'm going to try and get this consistent. I think that was right about where I held my hands the first time. Let's see if he can do this. I think he can. I know he can.
And if he doesn't do it, then he's gonna look like a chump.
It just means he's got integrity. He's like, I'm not gonna do that for these idiots.
He's gonna do it. Do it. That way we get the other podcasts up too. By the way, quick shout out. Like this BentOnBetter podcast is being brought to you, not by but it's brought to you by BentOnBetter. But it's also featuring the brand new Better Fitness Proof podcast. Check it out. Check it out on any podcast platform that you listen or on YouTube. Better Fitness Proof podcast. Go check it out.
Cool.
Back to what you're saying.
Awesome. Cool. So we were talking about tying identity to things and, and not that I don't feel the need to share a whole lot of my own experience in that, because again, we listened to it. That's where that got brought up in my old podcast, the one that you interviewed me. But we've discussed this before. If we really bring it back to strength training, and we look at, if you guys were to take a video every single day of my training session, Matt's training session, Alysha's training session, Molly's training session, Lynn's training, right? You get where I'm going with this. You would see very consistent things happening, not just over a month, a year, but like literally since 3 years ago for me, right? Yeah. Arriving here on
more than a decade for me.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. Right. And those exactly. And for myself as well, those same things were happening before I was even here as a coach. Now they became refined when I was coaching here, because I was much more focused on this craft, right? This became my new craft. But it was important to find something that, because I knew I was going to be here every day, it was important to find something I could count on day in, day out, that wouldn't overstrain, right? Overtrain. Sorry, I think that's probably the way I should phrase that. Overtrain, strain me. And then I could count on doing weeks after weeks after weeks, right? And maybe from time to time, things change up a little bit. It's funny. Is this sounding familiar to anybody, by the way? Maybe from month to month, or 4 weeks program, things start to change up a little bit. But overall, you tend to see the same big movements happening. And that's because there's a lot of very good, not just, experiential, is that a word? Experiential stuff going on here, that like we see results just from ourselves and from others with regards to, I'm going to get specific here, compound lifts, squats, deadlifts, chest presses, rows, these type of movements. But we also see it in the literature too, like these type of movements, compound movements, have a very beneficial effect on the body in many different ways. But it's important to understand that, just like the Charmin Ultra, less is more, right? Doesn't always mean you have to compound lifts are great. Cool. I'm going to fill every single day with compound lifts. I'm going to do them when I'm getting stuff out of the refrigerator. No.
Well, you kind of are, right? You're squatting.
Yeah. Now that's not wrong, right? You should be using those lifts in your everyday life, but you shouldn't be 300-pound lifting the orange out of the bottom shelf in your refrigerator. No, you can use other techniques. You can still use a hinge technique to get your oranges out of the refrigerator. But I think the point I'm trying to make here is using those same type of movements and maybe just exposing the body to slightly different things here and there brings us back to this idea of building resilience. And at the end of the day, that's what helps minimize those instances of pain. We're helping build the strength of the joints. The muscles themselves are what are strengthening the joints, right? The tissue surrounding the joints becomes a little bit stronger because it's exposed to different ranges of motion. And we're training those different ranges of motion in different ways at different times. Right? Nick could go on for hours.
Oh, go on for hours, dude. This is great. I'm like sitting back. I'm ready. Should have brought a snack to listen to this. This is good.
But again, one more time, simplifying strength for longevity across the lifespan. If you've found that whatever you're doing, if you're a member here at BentOnBetter, or if you're elsewhere and you're listening to this abroad or whatever.
Hold on, if you're listening to this anywhere else, if you're local, you could be coming in here and working with us. And if you're not local, you can be coming here and working with us virtually.
Ping. Yeah, you can work with us virtually. Yeah. We got folks all over the place who do that. I don't think anybody's from different time, what do you call that? Time zones right now?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah, we had a few folks who were doing that.
Yeah, 1 hour behind us.
But if you're from a different time zone, you can still do it.
You can still do it.
We've had people do that before. Anyway, so no matter where you're at, whether you're here or not, I don't want to I don't want to beat a dead horse here. But,
beat a dead horse. Beat it.
Use your experience. Take a step back from what you're actually doing. Try to take a bird's eye view from what you're doing. Look at it and say to yourself, could I do this for another year? Could I do this for 5 more years? Maybe I'm not doing this exact thing in 5 years, but could I do something similar to this in 5 years? Maybe the reps don't look the same. Maybe even the movements don't look exactly the same. It's okay. At the end of the day, though, can you still expect to show up and do something similar, or at least just get moving and commit to that because it's been so beneficial for your health and can continue to be beneficial for your health? And then it gets down to what kind of like what you discovered, where certain things inside, outside of the body, right? They're going to weigh on you different ways. We're talking about stress. We're talking about overtraining. We're talking about getting your diet right. We're talking about getting your mindset right. All those things kind of come as fine tuners. But if you can commit to that, man, the difference you can see. Again, not trying to like toot our own horns, but like across the board, in fitness.
It's important because we're speaking from experience, right? We're not only speaking from having studied the literature and understanding the concepts, but we're applying them, and not only to ourselves, but to hundreds of other adults and athletes. Hundreds of them over the past, again, like for me, it's been a decade of working in the fitness industry. It's been the past almost 7 years having BentOnBetter being the hub of where it all happens. But we're not saying this isn't new information, right? Like you can go anywhere and find this stuff out. Be mindful though, and be wary of just doing regular Google researches, because you can look up things on Google of like, should you squat if your knees hurt? And it's gonna be like, no, don't squat if your knees hurt. Or don't lift weights if your knees hurt. But like, good luck going to the grocery store and picking up that 20-pound flour bag that's on the bottom shelf. Like, good luck picking that up without bending your knees if you have hurt knees. Like, that's part of regular life, doing yard work. So instead of thinking of fitness as this vehicle to get you to your goal, which is fine to get started, right? Everyone's got to get started in some way. My goal was to get bigger because I wanted to be a bigger guy. I want to be a little bud. I want to be a big guy, big man. But in that journey, I realized I found myself. I found a passion for fitness. And before I get too far off on my tangent, I want to bring it back and say, you have to go back to what Nick said. You have to be able to look at it and say, can I do that for the next year? Or is this sustainable? Really, a year is too short. Like, we think a year is like so long. Like, when you're getting started, a year is long because it's something new. Yeah. It's something you're not used to, right? I'm looking at the camera as if someone's there, but I'm looking at you, Nick, because we're having this conversation. I'm going to look at you, maybe look to the camera a little, but really, you should ask yourself, can I do this for the next 10 years, right? Maybe the goal isn't 10 years, but like, can I actually sustain this for 10 years? And that's going to be a great way of understanding if it's actually a short-term thing or a long-term thing. So in terms of diet, right, we're talking about strength training right now, but briefly, in terms of diet, so many people come in here for their nutrition consultations with me and their nutrition coaching with me. When we sit down, we talk about it. We talk about what their current habits are. They've been doing them for years, right? Their habits have gotten them to where they are because it's sustainable. It's something that's normal. It's what they've been doing. Whether it's waking up and having your coffee right away with 2 sugars and 2 tablespoons of creamer, right? If you're measuring it, even most people aren't even doing that. But is it sustainable for the next 10 years? If it is not, if you found yourself saying no, ask yourself right now. I'm looking at the camera now. I want you to think right now. Think about what you're currently doing with your fitness routine. Is that something that your body will be able to sustain and continue to do for the next 10 years? And if your answer is yes, good. Keep doing that. That's great. You found something that you enjoy and that you're able to do for the next 10 years. Commit to 10 years. Commit to it. 10 years. I think that's far enough in the future that we can be like, that's a long time.
Yeah, we'll see you in 10 years.
Yeah. Or if you found yourself being like, I don't know, like with your diet, right? People come in here, back to the diet thing. People come in here and tell me that they've been using these nutritional company shakes and meal replacement shakes and things to help them lose some weight in the past. But that's always the key. It's like, I used it in the past to lose weight, and then you gain it right back, right? You gain it right back. So because it's not a long-term sustainable thing. Can you and do you want to sustainably live on a nutrition shake in replace of a meal for the next 10 years? Every day, however consistent you've been doing it to get to the goal you're at right now, can you do that for the next 10 years? If you can, is it sustainable for the next 10 years? Maybe you say like, yeah, I can do it. Like, yeah, I can totally, it's easy. I just put the protein in the thing, shake it up, drink it down, boom, I'm done. But is it sustainable? Like, do you want to continue to do that every single day for 1 meal or 2 meals a day to get to this result, to keep those results that you have?
I'm gonna keep going off of that.
Keep going.
You said if you find yourself saying no to that question, right? Can I sustain this for 10 years?
Yeah.
There's some other things maybe we need to look at there. And I find, I think this is, maybe some people can identify with this too. The folks who go, what, to put myself through those workouts? First of all, framing it as a workout versus training. Or practice,
that's another
right?
big.
We'll talk about that in another
That's another topic. Let me put that on my notes here.
but I'm going to use that specifically in this instance. So can I do that same workout? Can I do day A over and over for 10 years? Holy cow. If Nick keeps programming it like that, I don't think I can. That's not the point, right? If you're saying that, it sounds like when you come in for your workout, and I'm not blaming, by the way, I'm trying not to point, but it sounds like if you're coming in for your workout and you're experiencing this dread over something like that, maybe there's a bit of overtraining going on, or maybe your goals aren't quite right. Maybe trying to burn the 777th calorie on your FitnessPal watch, whatever. Sorry, I didn't mean to name drop there, but if you're trying to do it just for what the watch says, do it for the watch. I think there's something fundamentally wrong there. I think that the shift of mindset of I would like to show up for my training or my practice daily. And no matter what the screen happens to say today, great. I'm going to look at it as an opportunity to work on each of those individual movements. And if I don't feel great today, if I feel terrible, maybe I just do body weight for half of those movements, whatever, as long as I keep moving through those ranges of motion and doing those things. And if it's framed like that, maybe that question won't sound so bad anymore. Mm-hmm. You go 10 years of doing that, of being able to come in and use my own judgment as a physically active adult and say, yeah, I think I could do that for 10 years. Then that's awesome. That's a really great first step.
That's so good.
Right?
Let's keep going with it, because when we talked about earlier that like all of us as coaches, we've been doing pretty much the same things day in and day out. Like I'll get in here now, finally I can get back to a routine where like you see me, I'm in here like 3 days a week doing strength training. Over the summer it was like 3 to 4. Like before that it was like 3 to 4. Like that's always been the goal. That's really what's sustainable for my life right now. Yeah. With having 2 young kids, having a business to keep going, having a wife to support, having a team to support. There's so many different components of my life that no one sees, but like I'm still dealing with and doing. I know that realistically 3 days a week is what I can commit to and stay as like a non-negotiable, because fitness is part of my life, right? Getting this place off the ground, for the first 2.5 years of getting this place off the ground, I was not training. I was like few and far between a workout kind of person, like just quickly get something in, like 15 minutes between 2 clients. Like, I'm just going to like pump this machine right here. Like just for some like arms, do some squats on the squat rack, just real quick, like body weight stuff, or like just like bare bones, like bar stuff. But like I lost track of myself because I had my focuses on different things. But let me bring it back. So we were talking about like keeping it consistent without being like overboard. So back to that question, can you do it for 10 years? Can you sustain that for 10 years? The answer is, with strength training, you can. Because as we know, as coaches and people who do this on a regular basis and coach hundreds of, and now I'm at the point where I've had thousands of adults work with us, work with me. We can adjust and modify and change and regress and progress all the different movements, so you can every day know that for 10 years consistently you can show up and get it in. Because good luck, like for real, it's like good luck living life without movement.
Yeah, or fearing movement.
Or
for that
fearing
matter.
movement.
Yeah,
good luck.
movement.
Like that sounds terrible. It sounds like a terrible life. If you have kids or grandkids, or you want to eventually have kids, or you have animals who are children to you, if you have anything or anyone in your life that depends on you doing anything than sitting in a chair, and even people, if you're chair bound, movement is still something that you, I'm sure, like want to do and want to get back to. So you're finding other ways of moving upper body stuff and moving around different ways.
That's important to note too. Yeah.
So many different components.
Right.
So strength training as a foundation can get you to the kind of changes and lifestyle that you want to have to be able to do different things. I wouldn't be doing these half marathons or even have thought about doing them if I hadn't been doing strength training my entire life and doing like strength training and resistance training. We say strength training, but that's really just resistance training, whether it's body weight, whether it's using tools like dumbbells or barbells or kettlebells or sandbags, whatever it is. Strength training is just the terminology that we use here at our facility because it helps paint a picture for what we're doing. We're developing strength. We are training our bodies to develop strength that is sustainable and long-lasting, and it's going to help get us away from or out of pain or stay away from the possibility of producing pain. And pain's part of it, normal, right? So we're saying, I'm like going all over the tangent, but
it's not necessarily bad.
It's not bad.
Like chronic pain's not great.
It tells us what's going on so we can be more aware of what we need to do to change things and make things better for ourselves to then get out of it or away from it. So sometimes pain is a great indicator that we are doing too much. If I run 4 days in a row, my knees are, I'm little look into the next podcast episode. My knees are going to be killing me. I'm in my mid 30s and my knees should not be killing me, quote, air quotes, from running only 13 miles. But yet they do. And so I realized that I need to get back to a movement understanding and get back to my strength training because I have not prioritized that. I can't even imagine people who are running miles and miles and miles and dealing with this pains and just like running through it. Like I ran through it because I have like this mental fortitude to be able to get through, but I'm also like backing off. I'm like, whoa, today when I was running, I had the goal of running 10 miles. I only did 6 because I was like, well, my knee's starting to bother me. I'm going to call it. And like, thankfully I'll be able to run again in the next 2 days after I just take some more time to mobility and do some stretching and do some recovery and then keep on that path, right? It's not just a quick fix. Yeah. But all the tangents, I mean, it's important. I think people watching this can see how Matt's brain actually works.
Oh, gosh, when you pair us together.
When you put us together, we're back and forth. Well, I think there's going to be a lot of great stuff that comes from these podcasts right now. But for now, I'm going to wrap up my part and have you jump back in.
Cool.
We can adjust it because we've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
So we do strength training. We have the mental, the habit built in of like, okay, I'm going to show up here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and I'm going to lift. And those days, I'm going to do push movements, upper body and lower body on one day. I'm going to do pull movements, upper body, lower body on one day. And then I'm going to do accessory or anything else I don't feel like that has gotten enough attention on that third day. So I'm getting everything worked. I'm going to spend an hour to an hour and 15 minutes doing it, including my warm-up. I'm getting all that stuff done. But I'm going to be lifting more than my body weight for those major movements. Mm-hmm. I'm going to focus on really good movements and only do like 8 to 12 reps for me right now. Because like I really want to make sure that I'm controlling every movement, that I'm being mindful of every repetition, that I am moving really well and not just compensating. Athletes are the best compensators in the world. They're overcompensating for everything as athletes. And that's sometimes how they get to be these all-star, top-notch like athletes. Oh my gosh, let's throw Alysha under the bus just for a moment. Alysha is an all-star. I mean, if you don't know Alysha is one of our head coaches here. She's the head of our athletic development program and also one of the head coaches for our adult program. But Alysha is an amazing, I actually haven't even gotten to like see it, like witness it in person yet. I still need to. But an amazing basketball player who played professionally for 5 years overseas. She's strong. She's confident. She's capable of so much. But 3 years ago, 2 years ago, even a year ago, her squats and her deadlifts really could use some work. Like she understands the movement, but she had like big winks and a big like a tuck underneath when she would squat and like the big pelvis like flare back, like the butt kicking out.
We could probably even just summarize by saying the integrity wasn't quite there.
The integrity wasn't quite there.
Yeah.
So the point is, as an athlete, she was really good at overcompensating because she had this naturally developed talent and this strength that was able to help her overcompensate to be able to produce such amazing results on the court and off the court as being a strong athlete. But when we looked at it from a movement standpoint, when we looked at it from a can we get stronger and build a better foundation standpoint, she really had to dial it back and take the time to be more mindful and aware and slow it down and back off in the weight. And now her everything is so... Man, night and day. Oh my gosh.
That video Jaquan made of her?
That's solid. That little reel. Check out on Instagram. Go follow Alysha on Instagram and check out that Instagram post.
It's definitely going to be dated by the time people listen to this.
Yeah, but it's so good. It's on her reels. Go look at her reels. Good.
Pull those kettlebells off and just throw. Oh man, that was awesome. Yeah, it was cool. I think we can probably begin wrapping this concept up and trying to summarize, the point that we've been getting across here. In addition to all the fun chatter we've had just between us, I think as brothers, but again, when we're looking at bird's eye view of this topic of longevity, lifespan, what can we do over a long period of time? Although we focused on strength training or resistance training today as our major focus on the topic, we kind of discussed it in a way that you can apply it to so many different concepts, including, and with a couple examples, diet, and not diet as in, that diet or this diet, but like what you consume on a regular basis. So we call that diet, just to help clarify the terms there that we're using. You can apply it to your mindset. You can apply it to your relationships with your family, with your friends. Is this a long-lasting, healthy relationship with so-and-so or whatever? Yeah. Oh man, that was kind of like, I was trying to wrap that one up. Maybe you can do
that
it
was
a little
good.
more
Yeah.
justice.
Well, and that's, I think to finish off, hopefully where you're going was like, you have to find things that are sustainable long-term, and you have to, like fitness as part of a well-balanced diet. Is actually, it has to be something that's long-term sustainable. So can you see yourself doing it for 10 years? Back to the original statement of this podcast, which was what? You have it written down.
Yes. Simplifying strength training for longevity.
Simplifying strength training for longevity. So are you in your life? So let's do a little workshop, a little workshop. Let's do a little moment here. Let's think about it. Are you keeping things simplified to improve your longevity in whatever you're trying to work on? Whether it's trying to live a healthier lifestyle, right? We all you may have this goal. You might be listening and have this goal of like getting rid of a bunch of unwanted weight that you're carrying, right? We know that's important for many factors, right? You're like having excess weight in terms of body fat is going to bring on health risks such as cardiovascular issues, such as like joint issues, like health of your joints, health of your tendons, health of your body and your mind and everything else. There are so many different components. If your goal is to make that change, is it sustainable for you to do that for 10 years? If it is, keep going on that path, because even though it may not feel like it right now, you're doing what you need to be doing to get you on that right track. If it's not something that's sustainable for 10 years, right? If you're looking and thinking to yourself like, man, I don't think I can do this for 10 years, then it's time to look at everything from that bird's eye view that Nick's talking about and look at it and see what areas need to change. Sometimes when we're too much tied up in the day-to-day and the mundane and just the repetitions and the like continuation of it all, we get lost in that because we realize that's our normal. But sometimes our normal is much less than what we have expected of ourselves, and sometimes our normal is way less than what we actually can do for ourselves, and we don't realize that because we're so caught up in the normal, right? So taking a step back, and sometimes you're unable to do that by yourself. Sometimes it's really hard to take a step back from your normal and to look at it from that bird's eye view and to say like, that needs to change. That's fine where it is. That can move over there. We can make those changes. So that's the time where you need to reach out to somebody who can help you. Hiring a coach is a real thing, and this is a shameless plug here. If you're looking for someone to help look at those regular daily routines that you have in your fitness, in your health, in your diet, in your mindset, in your recovery, all those different components, reach out to us here at BentOnBetter. And like, this podcast is sponsored by BentOnBetter. This is not just a regular run-of-the-mill podcast. This is the Gym's podcast. We are here to help make your life better. So if you're watching this, I'm speaking directly to you. If you're listening to this, we're speaking directly to you right now. I'm going to look at the microphone, speaking directly to you. Nothing is going to change in your life if you don't change yourself. And doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. So it's time to take note, look at what you're doing from a bird's eye view, and tell yourself and ask yourself, can I continue to do this for 10 years? If you can, keep going. You've got this. You can do it. I believe in you. And if you don't believe in yourself, I believe in you. And that's all you need to worry about right now. And Nick believes in you too.
Of course.
If you're questioning that, it's time to take inventory. Yeah? Right on.
That was fun, man.
My knuckles weren't ready for that. I was like holding my fingers like this, and I just wasn't ready for it. But anyway, I think this is a really good kickoff for our. I'm a little biased, but I think it was a really good kickoff for our first episode back.
It's fun.
Yeah, it was good.
I liked it.
Cool. Want to do any little plugs before we finish off? I mean, this is sponsored by BentOnBetter. So, is there anything else we need to talk about before we wrap it up for this episode?
Man, there's gonna be plenty of time for plugs later.
Cool. All right. Well, on that note, if you haven't already done so, make sure you hit the subscribe button wherever you're listening to this so you get the notifications when the new Bent on Better podcasts come out. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you give us a thumbs up on the video, hit that subscribe button, comment below on whatever your favorite topic was of this conversation. Let us know what you're working on. I want to get back to you. We will get back to you. I will be looking at these comments and getting back to every single person personally. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, things you want to work on, discuss, or talk about, let me know. We're here to help. All right?
All right.
We'll wrap it up, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
See ya.
Bye.